Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Southeast Termite and Pest Control. Football is here. That means fall invaders are here too. Box elderbugs, ladybugs, stink bugs all want to get in your home. If you let them into your home, you're going to find all their tiny little offspring running around your home come spring, and you don't want that. Get the fall invader treatment from Southeast Termite and Pest Control. Check them out online at southeasttermite.com. They've been doing it since 1971, and I have this done every fall at my home. It works. Southeast Termite and Pest Control. All right, let's welcome in the last member of our panel right here, Sterling Hinton. Man, that's a good-looking outfit.
Well, I'm trying to step up to your level, John.
No, it's Daniel.
I see clean with it.
It's you and Daniel, the killers on the clothes. All right. Thank you for being here, VFL Sterling Hinton, who you, of course, see in Neyland Stadium. Man, you are the star over there.
I'm just thankful to serve, brother.
It's impressive.
Thankful to serve.
Vols look good on Thursday, as we've talked about. Pitt goes and faces West Virginia. It's a rivalry game. It's a much better opponent than what Tennessee played. At the same time, their run game didn't look great against West Virginia. Their run defense didn't look great against West Virginia. You could see a drop-off from Kenny Pickett to Keaton Slovis. Okay, so are expectations changing at all? I'll start with Mr. Overstreet down there. Yeah, that's what I figured. We'll start with a laugh from Will.
No, I mean, 8-4. I mean, if you looked at how the SEC did this week, I mean, just look, who had a bad week? Not many people did.
Some had great weeks.
Yeah, Florida looked good. I mean, all these other teams had good wins. So coming out of this week saying Ball State is going to tell me I'm going to have a whole lot better year, I can't take that at this point right now. You have to keep going in there and say, we got to see it against better opponents and see what this defense does against better opponents.
Jimmy?
I don't think you can take much from that because it's Ball State. And while I thought Tennessee was clean and efficient, it hasn't raised my I got them at 9 wins.
Okay.
So
yeah, you were.
They have.
Well, you could raise your expectations.
Well, I'm
someone
not
who couldn't.
That's right.
See, you're chomping at the bit to say your expectations have risen, but you had them at 12-0. So seriously, how much do you take from a win over Ball State? You know very well that that's not SEC level.
They're not SEC level, and I did see a lot of fatigue in Ball State as the game got on with our offense. What I do like with Ball State is they didn't think that they were hurt. They played the game.
No flopping.
They didn't flop. And so, but they were kind of tired. But, look at it this way also. We didn't put our whole cabana out there either. We got a whole lot more stuff in the tank to put out there. And I'm excited to see it.
Okay, very good. Let's turn this. This is where I really wanted to go. I should have just started with this. Last 5 50-point openers for Tennessee. All right, now you have the 59-10 against Ball State. You go back to 2015, 59-30 over Bowling Green. That team finished 9-4. 50-0 over UT Martin. That team finished 6-7. 63-7 in Lane Kiffin's opener, 7-6. Then you got to go all the way back. I mean, you haven't done 50 in the opener a lot. You got to go back to Peyton Manning days. Can you believe there was a time when Tennessee could whip a team like Texas Tech 52-17? But recently, 6-7, 7-6. It doesn't tell you much. Let's look at Tennessee's just their last 5 openers. Period. Before Thursday, you had the 32-point win over Bowling Green last year. You went 7-6. You won on the road at South Carolina 2 years ago and finished 3-7. You lost to Georgia State. Now, I remember everybody saying, well, that's it. They're going to go 12. Went 8-5. Clobbered by West Virginia, went 5-7. Beat Georgia Tech, and then went 4-8. It's such a small sample size, first of all, that we all overreact to, all across the country. Everyone overreacts, fans, media, because all you've seen is this. So you just focus on that, and the reality is that isn't very telling for the rest of the season in most occasions, I don't think.
No, it's not. And here's one of the things that's interesting to me. All the time you hear coaches say, you make your greatest improvement between game 1 and 2, right?
Yeah.
Well, I remember a few years ago, Tennessee beat Cal in the season opener. That's the best game Tennessee played all year. So that doesn't always hold true. Now, what'll be interesting is when you play a Ball State versus a West Virginia, now do you show more improvement because you played a better team than what Tennessee did? I don't know. But I did see some things about Pitt, and you mentioned them. They didn't run the ball that well. They didn't stop the run that well. I'd be curious to see if Tennessee can take advantage.
And the other side to that is, and you can get injuries against Ball State too, but when you played West Virginia in a rivalry game, Pitt lost a lot of guys the other night. They had guys getting dragged off the field. Tennessee didn't have to worry about that. Tell you what, we do a segment right now with Chuck Cavaliers. We call it the odds and trends. Let me go ahead and go to a graphic here before we go to Chuck. We got to have the transitional graphic if we've got it. There it is, odds and trends. In their last 30 games, as a road favorite, Tennessee 23-7 overall, 17-12-1 against the spread. Now, granted, you got to go back to the Eisenhower administration to find the first one of those, but that's a historical number. That's pretty good. That's better than I expected. In their last 30 games as a home underdog, which Pitt is, 13-17 overall, 16-14 against the spread. I thought that was a little surprising. I didn't expect to see those numbers. Chuck Cavaleris, let me ask you, do you buy those numbers?
You know, I don't put 100% stock in that, and a lot of times, like you're talking about, going back to to another presidential administration like Eisenhower, I think that is a large sample size, right? I prefer the smaller sample size, but that gives you an idea of, hey, if I'm undecided, I'm going to lean towards playing Tennessee. So leaning towards Tennessee, I think you got to take into consideration here. Pitt is the defending ACC champions. I don't think that gets a lot of recognition here. Last year, I wrote it down. They were 11-3 straight up, 10-4 against the spread. That's awesome. And when you look at the over and under, they were only 8-6. So they're exceeding expectations against the spread. When you look at Tennessee, Tennessee finished 7-6. Well, Tennessee was 5-8 against the spread. So I'm putting a little bit more on what happened last year. But the one thing that stands out about Tennessee, they were 10-3 on the over and under. So they're scoring points. So we'll dig into this a little bit deeper when we set the Cavaleris line. But you're looking at Tennessee as a road favorite, is the right team favorite in this game.
All right, very good. Thank you, Chuck. Appreciate it. And as he teased, we will have the Cavaleris line in our Beat the House segment later. Gee, guess who's in last place all by himself? Riding high last year, rolling low already this year. When we come back on the Sports Source, Pitt will tell us a heck of a lot more about Tennessee than Ball State did. Let's look ahead to this game. What's going to be the key for Tennessee? Will it be the offense? I think that's the obvious answer. Or will it be the defense? Because you know what you're going to get out of the offense. I'll ask Bob and Jimmy next. We got the whole VFL crew coming back a little later. Stay with us. We got much more to come on the Sports Source. Come on back.